Maybe the most important class in R is a data frame. A data frame represents rectangular data where the observations correspond to the rows and the variables correspond to columns. And we will, in this lesson, learn how to deal with data frames. So we use the Forbes 2000 data frame as an example. And this data frame here contains 2000 observations, so has 2000 rows and 8 variables of different types. So the first thing we can do is we can do for any R object, we can have a look at the class. And the class here is called data frame, and it ensures that this object has a number of variables, and each variable contains the same number of observations, so that you can actually interpret the whole thing as a table. The dimension of such a data frame can be extracted by the dim function, and the dim function tells us, okay, we have 2000 rows and 8 columns, means 2000 observations and 8 variables. The n-col and n-row functions are useful for extracting this information separately. So n-row returns the number of rows and n-col the number of columns. You might maybe in a first step be interested in learning how many and which variables are contained in such a data frame, and the names function applied to a data frame returns a character vector that contains all the names of the variables. So we have a variable called rank, a variable name, country, category, and so on and so forth. Extracting one variable from such a data frame requires the use of the bracket subset of operator. And because we have rows and columns, we have to specify which rows, a subset of the rows, and a subset of the columns, a subset of the variables we want to extract. And rows and columns are separated by a comma. And that means if the first argument is empty, all rows are returned, and the second argument tells us please select just one variable, and this variable is the rank. And the rank is a pretty simple variable, just the numbers 1 to 2000. Now, once we did this, we can obtain further information about this variable. For example, that it is an integer variable and that it has 2000 observations. We can do the same with the name of the company. So the name is stored in a character variable and also contains 2000 observations, which is clear because it is a data frame. It is actually ensured that all the variables have the same length. Now, this vector here is now a character vector, contains all the names. So, and this is a very long vector, so it takes some time to scroll through this vector. And if we just want to have one element, let's say the first one, we can use an additional subset operator given here in the brackets. And that means give me please the first element of this vector. And this contains city group. Another variable that's interesting is a variable called category, and this is now of a special type called factor, and we will deal in the next lesson with factors.